Thank you for staying with us. My guest today on the program is the Director General of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. His name is Professor Abubakar Sulaiman. It's good to have you on the program.
Yeah, good morning.
And congratulations on your reappointment as the Director General of the Institute.
Thank you very much.
So what new strategies are you going to be bringing to bear to ensure that NILDS deepens democracy and strengthens the activities of the legislature?
Thank you very much for the wish and your felicitation. And I want to assure you that it's for a new person. When a new person comes on board, you may wish to ask him that question: what do you want to do? What are your visions? What are your mission? What do you want to bring on board to deepen democratic ethics and principle? But for me, it's just a work in progress. It's a continuation of where we were, where we are now, and just to consolidate on what we have done in the last 4 years. And as you could recall, we have done so much in the areas of capacity building for democratic actors, for the legislature, for the parliamentary staff. And we have extended this capacity building enhancement even beyond the shore of Nigeria. We have extended to other African countries, especially the West African sub-region. But most importantly, in the last 4 years, we have discovered some gap in the areas of democratic ideas. Look at the election, for instance. There are a lot of issues. We have a new electoral act. We have new mechanism brought, on account of electoral act devised by INEC to conduct election. We have a lot of issues that are yet unknown to Nigerian people, especially the electorate. We try to douse tensions, among the political parties, build up to 2023 election. And that was why we came up with political communication, forum that time. But in spite of that, and our attempt to ensure that our campaign that time was issue-based campaign, that was a campaign devoid of acrimony, devoid of rancor, devoid of sentiments, we observe and discover that our political parties, including the party in power, did not respect that agreement to say we conduct ourselves in a more mature, more nationalistic, more patriotic way.
One thing that seems to be a major concern for the Institute is the completion of your permanent site, which has, dragged for so long, and even, we have seen an ultimatum given by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. But do you think this timeline is feasible, or the Speaker just might be saying it because he wants, the President to commission this building before the end of this tenure?
You see, the timeline is feasible if Julius Berger, the contractor, is willing, because we can't force ourselves on the building.
So you're saying
we can't access the building. Contractor must hand over the building to us. What are we talking about? This is an edifice that was to be commissioned May 20th, 2019. Everything was on ground for its commissioning until Julius Berger then now insisted that they will not allow the commissioning until National Assembly or the Institute or the federal government settle outstanding liability of probably 7 billion. If that was the constraint that time, that stopped or prevented the commissioning then, and that constraint has now been addressed. The money, the liability has now been settled. They will stop the contractor from handing over the, allowing us to access the building and to start utilizing the building. The infrastructure is there. There's water, there's lights. All the main structure has been completed. In fact, the only thing that you could say they need to do for it to make it habitable is the furniture. The furniture component, to me, from all what we have seen, all indication, is the only thing remaining for us to make that place habitable.
So on the part of the contractors, what are they saying? And now, having settled, before we settle the liability, the contractor say, oh, just once you settle the liability, we move back to site and put finishing touches to everything you want to do so that you can take over. They said this on several occasions. After settling all this liability, they are now coming with another condition. Oh, before we can move in, I think we need some money. This is not cash and carry business. It's contracts. It's not retail business, where you say, oh, I go to the market, you have to pay before I deliver. Contract is contract. You understand what I'm saying? So now, as of today, nothing outstanding in terms of liability. Yes, you need to get some money to get some funds to complete. No doubt about that. But you can, in line with your promises, you can move back to site, start work. You understand? Hand over certain, section of the building for us to use. Where this place I'm using now is a temporary place. We are paying rent on the yearly. It doesn't make any sense. So I think it's more of a deliberate, policy on the side of the contractor to frustrate the institute, which to me is inhuman, and I never expected them to have done that. The Honorable Speaker has been there 3 times. The Minister of Finance was there once too, and they all assured them that, look, complete this project. If there's anything outstanding, we are going to settle you. And on the basis of that, they've even ensured that all the outstanding liability were addressed and settled. So you think with the intervention of the Speaker now, it's going to yield results? Beyond that, there is a provision already in this year budget. If you say what we need to complete is 7.1 or 7.5 billion, and now you have 2.5 billion in the budget. For a reasonable contractor, that is enough for you to go back to site, since your client is not owing. So I think it's a deliberate act on the part of Julius Berger to sabotage the institute, to sabotage the National Assembly. Because now look at the implication. National Assembly premises is under renovation. The Allo Chamber is under renovation. Initially, we thought while that one renovation was going on, they moved to the NILDS permanent site and make use of our, halls and edifices and facilities there. But because of the attitude of the contractor, even that one couldn't be done. So I think something needs to be done. And this attitude of contractor trying to hold people to ransom, we need to address it. And so the feasibility of commissioning is there, because this was already scheduled as far back as 4 years ago, before I even came on board. So what stopped it? So if they want us to commission in line with the directive of the Right Honourable Speaker, they will do it. But again, if they want to sabotage, they can as well do it. But again, you can do that, but you have the power to sabotage. Then we have the voice to speak to Nigerian people. And for a business conglomerate like Julius Berger, it's the way of demarketing them too. It has its own implication. So the onus lies on them now to either work in line with the directive of Right Honourable Speaker, get things done, while other thing we follow this run. After all, we have seen projects, edifices, this Abuja, that did not even get to the level our own is now, and they were commissioned, and they were assessed, and were habitable. So I don't see why they shouldn't get that place ready for us, to accommodate and to assess and perhaps commence serious work there. All right, let's come back to the discussion about the 2023 general election, which is the biggest in Nigeria's democratic history. With the kind of fierce contestation that trailed, the outcome of the polls, do you think, in your opinion, that this is an indication that the election did not live up to expectations? You see, the country's democracy is evolving, as I keep on saying.
You can say we are about, the country is 60-something years old as an independent country. But in terms of democracy, our democratic journey, we have been having interrupted military interventions, we have been having truncated democratic journey. And as such, you cannot equate Nigerian democracy with what obtains in the US, in Canada, or some other advanced democracy. Every election comes with its own challenges. This 2023 election came with its own challenges too. It has the up and the down. The up is devices, the Electoral Act, that brought in a lot of improvement on this whole process. The beavers, the electronic transmission, the accreditation of a thing. Before we used to have bogus figure from Rivers, from Kano, from Lagos. This is one that we could not get that bogus figure. Which means that before, maybe, they used to write, votes that time. But now with the beavers introduction, when you are not accredited, you can't vote. And when you vote, the beavers too has a role to play in the transmissions of, the vote cast. So I think, to me, that is the kind of improvement on what we used to have in the past. So either we like it or not, we should talk about the strengths of the new electoral process. That is strength to me. And both the National Assembly, the Parliament, Mr. President, and to a large extent, the INEC, and most fundamentally, Nigerian people, the electorate, they need to be commended for the kind of input everybody made in ensuring that we have this kind of improvement on our electoral process. To me, that's the height, that is the strength, that is the hope of it. Then the down of it is the fact that when you come with a new device, like the beavers, you come with a new policies, mechanism, which were alien to your system, you should expect some challenges here and there. And that was the challenges we had. When INEC tried the beavers on the, was it Ekiti or Osun election, that is just 2 states. Now they wanted to do it for the entire country. Yeah, they must have probably do some rehearsal, on how it work with those 2, states. But when they now come to the national, they couldn't manage very well. To me, it's a challenge. So for us to now start making suspicion, and that's what I'm coming for, to start suspecting whether it was deliberate, it was a way of giving an advantage to one party or to one presidential, I wouldn't want to, it's not yet scientific. And it can only be scientific maybe by the time we go to court and come back. Even then, because the judges too, the jury is there too, they are human, they are not perfect. So we should just see it as the challenges of the time, the challenges we face, as a country, the challenges of trying to improve on our electoral process, the challenges of trying to put a system in place, testing that system, and along the line, we have this kind of inadequacies here and there, which I believe, as time goes, we can improve upon.
All right, we'll take a short breather now. Don't go anywhere. There's more after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, we have been speaking with the Director General of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman, and we have been talking about the outcome of the 2023 general elections. Thank you for staying with us on the program. There will be a low turnout of lawmakers in the 10th National Assembly. What do you think would be the impact on legislation, especially with the newcomers, having very low experience as regards to legislative activities?
Yeah, the issue of high turnover rate has been an issue, and is worrisome development. The beauty of any democracy is to the extent to which you have experienced parliamentarians, what they call ranking parliamentarians. Here we are now, we'll be having this kind of low turnout in terms of having newcomers into the parliament. But this year's zone is is unprecedented, because in Senate alone, you have more than 70%, freshers that are, that are just coming in. And what that means is that they need to sit down to learn. It's learning on the job. And when you're learning on the job, it's a drawback. Supposing those people that were there, we have behalf of them coming back, just to be a continuum, so to speak. But now you have new people. So if you're a professor, if you're an engineer, you're a commissioner, so legislative business is a specialized business. You still need to learn how law are made. You still need to learn passage of bills. You need to learn oversight activities, functions. It's a learning thing. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. So now that we're having this kind of problem of most rankings senator not coming back, that is to say we have to spend more money on training. We have to spend more money on capacity building. It will take a year, with due respect, before some of these newcomers could really grasp, the lawmaking.
And don't you think that would draw
process? It's a drawback. It's a setback.
Well, the 10th National Assembly will be the most diverse in the history of Nigeria's democratic history. We will have about 8 political parties represented in the parliament. And with this kind of diversity, how would this reflect in the presentation of bills, motions, debates that will be brought to the parliament?
The more diverse the parliament is, better for Nigerian democracy, because Nigeria itself has a lot of diversity. So if you are talking about 250 ethnic groups in the country, so if you have 250 political parties in the parliament, I think that's good for us. I think democracy is about representation. Democracy is about all shades of opinion being represented. And the only organ of government that epitomizes that representation, shade of opinion, plurality, is the parliament. So to me, I'm happy with this development.
Let's round up our conversation with the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari signed a couple of bills, constitutional amendment bills, one of which is the one that grants financial autonomy to state legislatures, that's the state houses of assembly. Do you expect to see an improvement in legislation at the state level, and will this also give a sense of responsibility to lawmakers?
I think we need to commend Mr. President for that bold initiative to at least assent to that bill. And we need to commend the National Assembly too, that has mooted the idea, passed the bill, lobbied the executive to get it assented to. And we need to commend Nigerian people too for standing very firm that if you talk about governance or government, government does not stop with the executive alone. But as commendable as those efforts are, initiative, I have my phobia, I have my fear. The governor, they are just too powerful. Governor or governors, they violate rules, attempt break laws with impunity, brazenly. Nobody could call them to question. And that is why at times I love the style of President Obasanjo, who came with a regulated or guided democracy and was able to use that to checkmate the excesses of the governors. The laws have been there, they are now, the laws are there. Wait and see. Some of the governors, they will not respect that provision, the law. They won't respect it. So the governors that keep on saying, they have our problems, and something needs to be done. So when people talk about, state police, restructuring, there must be certain clauses on this. If not, governors that already they are not being given, they don't control police, but they have their hoodlum they use to truncate a lot of things. How much we now give them, state police, what they're going to do? So I think these are issues we need to look at. Certain things must still remain under the exclusive list for now.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Hello Chambers on TVC News. You can see this episode again on our YouTube channel and watch a repeat broadcast at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Thank you for watching. I am Tijesu Adeoye. See you next time.